What's good, everybody? RJ Sheldon here, back with another episode of BD Boys Off the Top Show. As you see here on the screen, my good brother James Muenchow, aka Jimmer. How we doing, man?
Buddy, was it a day? Do we have stuff to dive into? We can't even waste any time. Let's just get right into it.
Now let's do it. Before we go ahead and get into that, this is the Wisconsin Sports Edition section here of Off the Top Show. So just want to go ahead and clear that for people that went ahead and listen to it previous. Just going ahead and refreshing you, but you obviously will see it in comments, all that. We talk nothing but Wisconsin sports. So let's hop into it. Packers. We went ahead and did a little overview from the offense and defense. Now, Jim Bob Cooter, we're going to go ahead and ask you, how many wins do you think the Packers are going to get on a high side? And what is it going to be when it's like, oh, God, what are we looking at?
Well, looking at the schedule, it's a little different in the past 4 or 5 years. Usually 4 or 5 years ago when we talked, it was usually at least let's put 5 wins on the board automatically because the Bears are trash. The Lions weren't as good as they were right now. The Vikings always kind of gave us a fit once or twice or once a year. So you could easily go 5-1 right away, and then it just depends on what divisions you're playing. This year, not the story. NFC North is going to be, again, one of the tougher divisions of football. You're playing the AFC North this year and the NFC East. And then you have the Bronco, then for your extra 3 games, because that only equates to 3-6-9, 3, 7, and 11. You got some extra games, 6. You got 3 extra games, yes. And your extra games are the Panthers, which is, I think, pretty nice. They did improve last year. The Cardinals, which still growing. Kyler Murray's first year back and kind of rebuilding still, but that's in Arizona. And the Broncos in Denver. And that is not an easy game at all. So, and then you look at what the AFC North is doing this year with everything. Signings, drafts, everything. The AFC North is another tough division in football this year. You got the reunion with Aaron Rodgers. You got the reunion with Jair Alexander. And then you got the quarterback battle of the 12 quarterbacks the Browns seem to have on their roster. Is Shedeur Sanders going to be playing against the Packers in September 1st? And then you have the Bengals, who we still don't know if Trey Hendrickson is going to be on that team. So you kind of look at it, and then, again, you play the Eagles, tough opponent. Luckily, you have them at home on Monday night. And then you got the Ravens at home. Don't even know if that's going to be a game where either team is going to have expectations to play, because I think both those teams and franchises are going to be in the playoffs. We don't know if the Ravens are going to be number 1. Maybe they locked it up already. Let's start sitting Lamar. Let's start getting some guys who have nagging injuries off. We don't know if the Packers are going to have a bounce out, like a breakout season from last year, and maybe they've already clinched, or, we don't know who's going to be injured. It's going to be in Lambeau. It's going to be cold, 2 cold weather teams, so we don't even have to worry about that. You don't know about that. And then some of the not many cupcake games for the Packers. You start off with the Lions right away. So you got a division game, luckily at home, right away. Maybe you can catch the Lions. Maybe they're not going to be as sharp, but Dan Campbell's team's first year without Brian Johnson as your offensive coordinator. We'll see what the offense looks like from that aspect. Are they going to have a couple pages full of the trick plays like they used to? Who knows? What's that team going to look like? We'll see. But you get them week 1, and week 1 for Green Bay has not been in their favor in the past how many years. So usually it was because of Aaron Rodgers not playing the whole preseason, and that was kind of their tune-up. But you have to be ready week 1. This is division game. Divisional games are huge. So, but then you got the Commanders on a Thursday, quick turnaround. So I think that is really big, where you can get that. Hey, let's say the Lions come in and spank Green Bay. Green Bay looks sloppy, it kind of like how week 1 usually looks like. You got a quick 4 days. We don't even have guys. Let's just forget about it. We got to worry. We got to win in 4 days. I think that's really good. Or, they come out, they were on fire, put up 35 points like last year. Hopefully the defense can show up, and then you get the guys all excited. They're still healthy. This is the healthiest Thursday night game you'll ever have. That isn't week 1, isn't opening night. So, good things could happen out of this. And then you get, okay, we just had 11 days of hell and fury. We get a little bit of a rest. And if you go 1-1, 2-0, 0-2, you're still just, all right, we have 3 days to self-evaluate what's working, what's not working in these first 2 weeks. I think that's really good. And then you go to the Browns. Again, I don't even know who's going to be starting quarterback. They don't even know who's going to be starting quarterback. We might get Shedeur Sanders. I kind of want Shedeur Sanders. I want that. I think that'd be entertainment value. And then you go to Dallas, which Green Bay playing in Dallas has been very good over the years. And then you get the Bengals at home, which is nice. And then you get the Cardinals on the road, and then everybody's circling this one. Then you get the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be playing? Who knows? Maybe he's going to be hurt. He's 40-something years old. And then you get the Panthers back home. And then you get the Eagles at home Monday night. I think the really helpful thing is that most of your tough games are at home. I think that really helps Green Bay, that most of their tough opponents are at Lambeau Field. And then you go to the G-Men. And then you got the Vikings. Then you got another quick turnaround. Then you got Detroit on Thanksgiving. And then you get another short bye week. And then you get the Bears at home on December 7th. And then you go into Denver, come back to Chicago. So you got a little tough schedule that stretch there with Lions, Bears, Broncos, Bears. And then you basically see, okay, what are these last 2 games looking like? I think with this schedule, and again, the NFC North has a really tough schedule this year, even though they're playing the NFC East, is the quarterback from Commanders. I just want to make sure I get it. Jaden Daniels. Not very rehearsed on my Commanders football. Is he going to be the same as he was last year? Or was that just the Commanders being hot at the right time? We've seen it before. We saw it with Jordan Love year 1. The Commanders have made some really good moves, a lot of positive moves that should get Commanders fans very, very excited. You have a couple games where you're like, you should win these games. I think those games would be the Browns. I think the Cowboys should be a must-win game, or like that should be a win. It's Sunday Night Football because, of course, the Cowboys get Sunday Night Football. The Cardinals, I don't know if that's so much of a should-win game, but that's another place. The Cowboys and the Cardinals are 2 places where Packers fans travel really well, so you can kind of it's not quite a home game, but it's not quite an away game either. You just have to deal with the travel aspect with it. I don't know what the Steelers are going to look like. I really don't. Either the Steelers are going to be really tough with TJ Watt wanting out, but Pittsburgh not wanting him to go, with what I think classifies as a very overrated wide receiver, DK Metcalf. I said it. He's just big. He made a chase down play against Budda Baker, and everybody said it is still hyping him up. I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe with Aaron Rodgers now. We saw him with Russell Wilson in his prime, and he was still he still had magic Houdini acts where all of a sudden you were like, where's DK Metcalf this game? So we'll see how the Steelers look. They just made a pretty good trade. I don't know how that's going to work with who you say is the best cornerback to ever play the game.
Jalen Ramsey, Fitzpatrick going to the Dolphins and
swapping them. And then they get a new tight end. I don't know how that's going to work out because, again, Aaron Rodgers likes certain people, and this is a 1-year deal. Is Aaron Rodgers going to mesh with everything? Defensively, I don't know if they even got better on the back end. Like Minka Fitzpatrick was a pretty good safety, but I guess that shows that they're pretty unhappy with his production. Jalen Ramsey, obviously not the Jalen Ramsey that we used to know, but he's still pretty damn good. So the Steelers, I don't know. Either it's going to be a dumpster fire, Aaron Rodgers is going to be complaining and whining, or Mike Tomlin's going to control all those egos, and they're going to be a pretty damn good football team. I don't know. It's really, for me, going to be a coin flip. The Panthers, they improved last year. They gained some momentum and won. I think they won a couple games in a row towards the end of the year and gave some people some fits. But you have them at home, and it's in November. Is it going to be a little chillier? I don't know. I think that should be a win game too. Like, I expect them to win that game. Then you get the Super Bowl champs. That's along with the Lions. The Bengals is another one. That's also okay, what are we about game? Like, the Super Bowl champs coming in. This is a test to see how actually good we are. And again, you get them at home. Awesome. So that one, you better have your chin straps buckled because they're going to attack you in multiple ways. Either it's going to be Saquon getting the ball 30 times, or it's going to be they're going to toss the ball over the top to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So, that's going to be the how good actually are we, because the Eagles are going to be contenders again. Same with their defensive line. How good is the offensive line? You got Jalen Carter in the middle there. He's a game wrecker. He's a game plan destroyer. He can single-handedly ruin your game plan. So that's probably going to be the game where it's like maybe they're sitting, that's what week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's week 9. That's where like, okay, we're in a groove right now. How good are we? What are we made of? I mean, you get them at home, so there's no excuses. So after that, then you go to New York. The Giants, still the Giants. Maybe with Russell Wilson and a veteran quarterback, even though he's weird as fuck. I don't know how the Giants are going to be. I think they're going to be average as best. Their coach is on the hot seat. Who knows? I expect them still to go in and win the game. Then you get the Vikings at home. Again, another at-home game, so you're getting all the hard games out of the way, but they're at home. So, that could be a toss-up. How good is J.J. McCarthy going to be? This is the first time you're going to see him, and he's going to be in week 12. So how good is J.J. McCarthy going to be? You don't have somebody to stop Justin Jefferson anymore. You don't have Jair Alexander to annoy Justin Jefferson anymore. So we'll see about that. They had a good draft defensively. The Vikings did. So I think they're going to be improving. And then you got the short turnaround at the Lions at their barn. That one I can see being – I mean, I saw that 2 years ago where I thought the Packers were going to go into Thanksgiving and lose. And that's probably why Greg Olsen cut up the Packers turkey and Jordan Love didn't get a turkey afterwards after beating them. So anything could happen. But again, how is this offense going to look without Brian Johnson? Short turnaround. Is Aiden Hutchinson even going to be back? I don't know. I don't know if they've even ruled him out. I kind of want to expect he probably might be out, or if he comes back, how is he going to be? Again, they have the best safety duo in the league with Brian Branch and that other dude who got thrown out. He can go fuck himself. And then you got the Bears. The Bears 2 out of 3 weeks. How good is Caleb Williams going to be with Brian Johnson as the offensive coordinator? Well, not the offensive coordinator, but the guy who's running the offense, even though he's the head coach. How good is he going to be? And then you got the most improved team in the NFL, in my opinion, with the Broncos, with a top 5 defense year prior. Bo Nix year 2, Sean Payton year 3 with year 2 with Bo Nix in Denver. Going into the altitude, which if you haven't experienced some altitude in Denver, it's a different demon. You experienced it. I've experienced it lightly with some hiking up there, which I barely made it back from. I don't want to talk about it. That's going to be a tough task. You're late in the season. Well, thankfully, you just had a mini bye 2 weeks prior, but still, you just probably got out of a dogfight with the Bears. And then you got to go to Denver, and then you got to go back to Chicago. So, and then you get the last 2 games, the Ravens and the Vikings. Are those 2 games even going to be not worth playing, but are those 2 games going to be meaning anything for even the Ravens? Like maybe the Ravens are going to go fucking 14-3 and they're going to lock up the AFC North. Maybe they have the number 1 seed locked up by then. And they go, fuck it. Lamar, you're playing a quarter. Everybody else, you're hurt or you got something nagging. You're sitting out, and the Packers maybe have a walk through. And then the Vikings, same deal. Maybe the Vikings are, holy shit, J.J. McCarthy is really bad. Or, wow, J.J. McCarthy is really good. We don't know. But you get them at their barn. So where is my expectation? I think with this tougher schedule, but you have games that are very gettable and a tough NFC North, I think if you win 10 to 11 games again, I think that's a pretty successful season. Can you win some of these big games? And again, you get all of them at home. Eagles, Ravens, Bengals, and then you get some cupcakes at home. You get the Panthers at home. But then you get road games where Packer fans travel really well to, Dallas and Arizona. Can you take advantage of that? So I think no lower than 10. I think you can win 10 games in the schedule because maybe you go 500 in the NFC North. Maybe you go 3-1 in the NFC East. Maybe you go 2-2 in the AFC North, and maybe you luck out with the Ravens being the number 1 seed. You never know. But the Ravens have the tough AFC North. Maybe they're in dogfights all the time. So I think 10 wins, at worst 9, like absolute worst 9. because maybe this Matthew Golden isn't clicking right away. You lose some games because you have no passing game. You can never account for injuries. Lord hoping that nothing bad happens. Because again, we thought Packers were going to win 12, 13 games last year. Jordan Love basically played injured the whole season and missed some games. And you still won 11 games, but that was thankful to your really, really easy schedule. So I would say 10 games to 11, but the worst is 9. If you can win some of these, like the games where I expect to win, again, Browns, Cowboys, Cardinals, Panthers, Giants, and maybe you get in some dog fights and you come out as winners, you could be a 12-13 win team. This is because you got a bunch of new variables now with the secondary, and hopefully Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper can stay healthy throughout the season. Can you get a pass rush? Can the wide receivers step up? We don't know, but I would say 10 to 11, pretty good. 9 is your worst. If you win less than 9, we have problems. And I mean, we have big problems. If you win 12 or 13, maybe luck's on your side. You got some calls that went your way. Maybe unfortunate injury to somebody. Like what if Aaron Rodgers isn't hurt? Jalen Hurts gets hurt. Saquon gets hurt. Unfortunately, Justin Jefferson pulls his hamstring again. Maybe you get lucky, which you need luck to win championships. I don't think people really take that into account. Like, I think you playing at a higher level than I did, but it doesn't matter. We can go to the one state championship we won in baseball. You can go to the Rose Bowl. You can go to the 2 Big Ten championships, the Cotton Bowl. I can go to any of my adult baseball, amateur baseball tournaments, championships, college baseball experience. You need something or a couple things to go your way to win a championship. And I know in all of our championship runs, we could probably point out one play that was like that. If that doesn't go this way, and that was lucky, that went our way, the ball bounced our way, somebody made a play, something, we don't win. So I think, but that it's a double-edged sword. Green Bay could shoot themselves in the foot. They're notorious for it. But if you could win, if they get 12 to 13 games won, I think that is like the Eagles, they just made a big play, but a holding call on the last play killed it. Or they were penalized 10 times. Something along those lines. Something luck is on your side. So, again, 9 is your worst case scenario where you shot yourself in the foot 5 times in the year. You probably should be at least 12 or 13 wins, what I was talking about. 10 or 11 is like, okay, that's perfect. Last year, 10 and 11 was a 7 seed. Maybe this year it's a 4 seed or a 5 seed. Maybe it's a 6 seed. Or maybe you get, again, ball bounces your way 1 or 2 times in some of these big games, and you're 12 or 13 games. And then you go into the playoffs, and hopefully the ball keeps bouncing your way through the playoffs, and next thing you know, where is the Super Bowl this year? It was in Nolens.
Bay Area, San Francisco.
Oh, it's in San Francisco, where some Packers have had some demons there. Next thing you know, ball bounces the right way. You're in San Fran, playing for the Lombardi to come back home. You never know. So that's where my is on this. I'll go through when we get closer to the season. I'll go through game by game and say win or loss, because you got to get through minicamp, or not even minicamp. You got to get through training camp, because there's some things that actually happen in training camp where you're like, okay, that changes a lot in your season. So we'll close to it, maybe with start of preseason, maybe the week before the bye. I'll call it week 0. We can call it because it's a bye week after the last week of preseason. We'll go through it. But right now, I think 9, worst, 10 to 11, average, like expected, 12 or 13. I think that's a great season. Like, best case scenario. Everything went your way. You stayed healthy. You found a pass rush. You found some diamonds in the rough with the draft where all of a sudden Byron Sonal, whatever goddamn name is that I can't think of right now, is just an absolute monster where you're like, how did this guy go in the 4th round? Something. Matthew Golden is a 1,000-yard receiver, just burning everybody in sight. Who knows? So we don't know yet. We got to get through camp still. Because, again, Packers have pieces right now where you don't know where they're going to play. So we'll get through camp. Then we'll kind of go into a little bit of a deeper analysis of it. So
yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that. I second that. BetMGM's got the Packers minus 105 at 9.5 wins. So you may know something. But I
Yeah.
think that's reasonable. I think that's definitely
I think 9.5 is
good.
basically them saying that same thing. Like we don't
Right.
know. Like they think we're a 500 team, but either they know how much we shoot ourselves in the foot, or they know the potential that this team has. Where like if they pop off, we don't want to we don't want to highball them to where if they are a 500 team, that people just win on our unders. But we don't want to put it at so like 50-50 where all of a sudden if they pop off for 12 games, it's easy money. So they got to put it somewhere. I would take the over, and I think that's a good bet on the over. If it was at 10.5, now we're starting to flirt with over under because again, I think it's 10 or 11. So 9.5, I think you're good. If you wanna be a degenerate, throw it on the 9.5.
No, I feel that still a long way, but so close for the Green Bay Packers season to come. Let's move on over. Obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks. A lot of things that have went down. A lot of just holy okay and just wow. Let me just go through real quick, kind of what has went down, so that people can go ahead and hear. We signed Bobby Portis for a 3-year, $44 million deal. We go ahead and bring back Tayshaun Prince, 2 years, a $7.1 million deal. We got Gary Trent Jr. agreed to a 2-year, $7.5 million, which is absolutely lowballed, but we'll take it. We got Sims coming back, agreed to a 2-year deal. I don't know the numbers there.
It's like I'm looking right now online.
What are you looking at?
2 years. It looks like he's getting 2.5 million a year. So
Which is crazy.
5 million. 2 years, 5 million.
When that works, whatever. And then obviously the absolute bomb, getting Miles Turner to agree to a 4-year, $170 million deal. Obviously Dame's getting waived, but if you want my opinion, I already kind of tweeted this already. We got to move on. We got to go ahead and be competitive. We can't wait and sit on a what if this Achilles tendon goes ahead and gets back to where you're normal. And I'll tell you this right now, someone that's already been in it, it doesn't get any better. Your whole body on that side goes ahead, it wreaks havoc from it. So I'm just being honest with you. So I know that there's a whole bunch of people who have their own perspective, but you got to move forward. And to get Miles Turner along, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and what we got going on is incredible. We'll obviously get deep into it after this. And then obviously Gary Harris went and signed to a 2-year deal as well. I think that was for like $6 million or maybe even less. I don't even know the
2
numbers
years,
on that.
7 million. 2 years,
7
like
million. So
7 million.
before you go ahead, before you go ahead and
then
talk.
one more was.
Oh yeah, who was it?
Pat Connaughton got traded to the.
Yep.
Was it the Hawks or Charlotte Hornets?
Charlotte Hornets.
He got traded to the Charlotte Hornets and they traded 2 second-round picks to get rid of him for some dude who's I'm not even going to bother with his name. And from what I've been reading, it looks like the Bucks are going to buy him out of his contract. That move not only saved on the books $1 million at first, and now you're going to buy him out for maybe even another $1 million. So that saved you $5 to $6 million right there. So all in all, you're looking at a $6 to $7 million save because if not, Pat Connaughton was going to sit on the bench and steal $9 million for the year. So you had to give up something, which 2 second-round picks, you're hoping, and that was for 2031, 2032. So you're hoping when this rebuild, this scrap of this roster, which we're going to talk about here, goes well, hopefully those picks are like 58, 57, which at that rate, if you're looking at somebody, you could probably get them on an undrafted deal. But we'll get into it. We'll get into more of that. So that was the only other one.
And then last but not least, obviously, KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr. agrees to a 2-year, $11 million deal, which I think that was absolutely clutch as well. This team, there's a lot of people that obviously are emotional. We know that we're humans. We're not perfect. We all know that we want to see Dame with us. But you look at this team from top to bottom, right? You got Kevin Porter Jr. back. You got Gary Trent Jr. back. You got Bobby Portis back. You add Miles Turner. You got Sims, who's just a guy that's still, I feel, figuring out his role. You get a veteran guy in Gary Harris. You go ahead and do very well in the draft. You get a Russian guy. I can't even pronounce his name, but he looks like he just knows how to play basketball. All fundamentals of what I've read, and it's been a very good pick.
Yeah.
And then we also got the guy out of Alabama. I forget his name as well. Who was another very good basketball player. I think
wasn't he All-American?
Yeah, All-American.
Or was he All-SEC or something like that?
Let me... Sears, I want to say his name was. Either way, he's a good player. So, what I'm trying to get at here, people, is that you saw what this year's NBA championship was, right? You saw what the Indiana Pacers had. They had a bunch of guys that know their role and wasn't scared at all, competed, and played to their role. Just as we saw with the OKC who won it. They are very deep. Obviously, they had a 300 monster, but they had guys off the bench that can come in and do what they need to do. You see the age, this and that. I don't care about age no more. I care about guys that know their role and that play at a high level. You see LeBron James, who's 40 out there still hooping, and he's playing at a high level. But this team, I'm really excited to see how this goes. I am still skeptical on what Doc Rivers is going to do with this team. That's my biggest question mark. And also to add on, if we do need to get another veteran guy, Chris Paul's out. And I was a big Chris Paul hater. I didn't care for him. But this is a team for him to go ahead and kind of just show these guys the game of basketball and to be able to go ahead and dissect offense, defense, just kind of what he did with the Suns to get obviously Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Miles at the time.
Miles Bridges.
Like, it's just
Aiden, DeAndre Ayton.
Like you never know. But besides that, that's not even the point. The point is, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Shout out to John Hurst, man. I was talking so crazy about you. I won't anymore.
I'll tell you this right now. That's why I need to start with that. Me and you talked. I literally had no idea. I was like, I don't know what they're going to do to make this team better. And then all of a sudden, they're re-signing Gary Trent Jr. to a very, very, very friendly deal. I'm like, okay, that's a really good start in the sense of keep some of the guys that showed out. Gary Trent Jr. was definitely the one to show out. Kevin Porter Jr. All of a sudden, again, I thought Kevin Porter Jr. played well enough to get a double-digit contract, which I thought the Bucks didn't have money for. They re-signed him 2 years, 11 mils, so still single digits. So I'm like, well, damn, those are pretty good numbers. I like that for role players. Like these guys can play some basketball. And then the Bobby Portis thing, dropped, and I was like, okay, I've had my hims and haws about Bobby. 2 years, I think it was 2 years, $27 million or something like that. I was like, okay, that's actually not a bad deal for a 30-year-old power forward who becomes a black hole at times in the offense. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not going to get going on it. Then Torrin Prince Jr., I was like, but then again, the number, 2 years, $6.5, $7 million. Okay, fine. You know what? That's about what you have to do with these two contracts of Giannis and Dame on the books. And then the big one, Miles Turner. I was like, excuse me, who? I'm like, is that a typo? Like, I had to make sure it wasn't NBA Centel, the page that trolls everybody. I was like, who?
Right.
The guy who 9 days ago suited up in an NBA Game 7, who said after they lost, I want to stay here in Indiana. I want to do this again next year. Milwaukee Bucks signed Miles Turner, 4 years, $107 million, where the third year is a player option, and the whole cap hit percentage, league cap hit, or the trade cap or whatever. Don't know. Not a financial expert. Y'all can Google it. $25 million a year, basically. Maybe a touch more. I'm like, okay. Like, now you have, at least for this year, you finally got that. Oh, by the way, 2 days earlier, Brooke Lopez is going to sign with the Clippers. Oh, my God. Please, take him. I will pay you to take him. I was like, okay, so the Bucks need a big man. I don't know if they're going to just ride Jericho Sims, because, again, you got those two contracts on the book, and then you drops. I'm like, that's awesome. They're going to be well over the cap and well into the tax. I'm like, how do they get this money? And 40-something minutes later, or 20-something minutes later, it wasn't long. They're waving Daniel, and what they're doing is $22.5 million a year for the next 5 years is going to cap hit, but they have $113 million on the books. They stretch that out. Yes, is $20 million a lot? Yes, but in the NBA, $20 million, it's not as much as some people think. And the salary cap's only going up, so that $20 million looks a little smaller every year by year. And that helps Damian Lillard out too, because as you said, he's 38 years old. He just tore his Achilles. This is potentially a career ender for Damian Lillard. And guess what? Now he gets $113 million stretched out longer. So now he doesn't have to worry about what am I going to do after basketball. Well, he's got 5 years to figure it out. I'll get $22.5 million. I'll figure it out.
5 years, he's got the rest of his life figured out.
Well, yeah, but I know, but still, like, it's not like he cut and he's like, oh, well, I don't got any money. He's going to get all of his money.
And that's love too by John for doing that. Like, you could have low-key did him dirty if you really wanted to, but he didn't. They
probably could have found a way. I'm like, that's where they're getting their money from, because they just waived Damian Lillard. So then again, then you sign Gary Harris, who's going to be a bench player. He's going to give you 15 minutes a night at most and run around with a chicken with his head cut off and give you some energy minutes, hopefully make a play or two where it gets the crowd up and then the starters come in and feel the energy off the crowd. But we sit here, and this is the question, or this is the Miles Turner signing is ungodly huge. And not because, you saw what he did in the playoffs. He's draining threes, he's getting blocks, he's playing the big man. He's basically Brook Lopez when the Bucks signed him. Right there. If we all remember what Brook Lopez was when he came into the Milwaukee Bucks, this is it. This is Miles Turner right here. It's not as tall. He's 2 inches shorter than Brook Lopez. Brook's 7'1", Miles Turner's 6'11". Doesn't matter. They're all tall as shit. A big who can stretch the floor. I mean, at the time Brook Lopez came in to a system that Mike Budenholzer put in place is let it go. Let the three ball float, shoot a bunch of threes, and then they played a drop coverage, which Brook Lopez at the time was the best drop coverage defensive center in the NBA. I mean, he's the only player in history to hit 150 threes and record 150 blocks in a season. Like, that's what you bought for Brook Lopez. Miles Turner, I don't know what Bud's going to do defensively. Again, bro don't know ball, but Mike Budenholzer was pretty easy to know ball with. It was let the three fly and drop coverage. We're not giving up layups, and we're not going to foul. If they want to shoot 45 threes, which is what the game is today, which it turned out to be like, every team in the NBA can shoot threes now. But if they're going to attack the basket, guess what? I got 7'1" big-ass Brook Lopez waiting in the circle, or waiting on the block to block everything. So what did Brook Lopez do? What is Miles Turner going to do? He's a big that pushes the floor and creates space for 34 to just run havoc in transition. Offensively, he solidifies himself in the block where Giannis could be a little bit more aggressive in passing lanes, get those steals. The weak side is going to be stronger because of it. And again, he can shoot threes. It's a thing where all of a sudden now it opens space on the inside for Giannis as well, because you don't have – Giannis might be running the point this year. Like, I know you said Chris Paul, which I think that would be a pretty decent signing, but Giannis is probably going to be controlling most of the ball coming up the floor this year. Why they don't – their front court is really good now. I don't think this is a stretch at all. The Milwaukee Bucks have the best 4-5 combo depth-wise in the league. You got Miles Turner at 5 and Jericho Sims at 5, and then you have Giannis Antetokounmpo at 4 and Bobby Portis at 4. Name 4 are a better depth than that. I don't know if there is one. So, and you can even do some things versatilely. You can put Bobby Portis and Giannis on the floor. Bobby can play the 4, Giannis can play the 3 or the 1. You could get really big. Like, they could play big now, and then going small, it might be a problem. But again, Miles Turner does so much, and you saw what he did for Indiana in the playoffs, and you hope that it's the same thing coming over here to Milwaukee. So this signing was shocking. But again, and then everybody wants to talk about how the Dame trade didn't work out. Well, guess what? Go back to September 27th, 2023, and that trade proposal's on the table. 15 times out of 10, you're taking that deal. You're sending Drew Holiday to Portland. You're bringing in Damian Lillard. Why? Because John Horst has 2 jobs, and they coincide with everything. They're like this. One helps the other. One is win a championship. Obviously, that's every NBA GM's. But winning a championship means keeping 30. And if you ran it back so you won a championship in 21, first round exit. If you run it back with that team in 2024, Giannis might start getting, this front office isn't doing anything for me. Like, they're not helping me out. They're just doing the same thing over and over again, which is the definition of insanity. What did the GM show? What did Horst do? I just made a trade for the second best point guard in the league and also the second best shooter in the league. Go do something with it. Well, unfortunately, the factors of Damian Lillard kind of wanted out of Portland and wanted to go play in Miami, but Milwaukee beat him to the punch, that he didn't train all fall or summer. So he came in out of shape, and it took him to about December, January to get in shape. And then he came into not Mike Budenholzer, which had everything organized. He came into Adrian Griffin, first-time head coach, who through 45 games or so, they were 31-15, but looked like they didn't know what the hell they were doing at 31-15. And then you bring in my opinion, the most overrated coach in the history of basketball, Doc Rivers, where It took him 5 games to figure out Gary Trent Jr. Damn, I should put him in the game. He's scoring 27 points a game. After he came on the floor game 1 and 2 and was like, hey, I got like 13 points, 13 minutes, baby. No? Okay. Like, Gary Trent Jr., man, that guy can ball. Maybe I should play him more. Oh, he scored 27 points. Hello. But then you have the fortunate thing that happened with Damian Lillard tearing his Achilles. And here's a hypothetical I wanted to play, and I don't think we should waste time on it. But what happens if Damian Lillard doesn't tear his Achilles? I think the Bucks may fight and even that series up 2-2 because it looked like they were playing pretty well in Game 4. But as everybody found out, even Oklahoma City did, Indiana doesn't lose at home very often. So their Bucks could have won out their home games. I just don't see Milwaukee going into Indianapolis and winning a game. I just don't see it. So it happens. But then if he stays healthy, what happens? Do you trade him? I say probably. You probably shop him around. But unfortunately, he tore his Achilles. I think that made that move a lot easier as well. But then the question arises through all of that. As of 7:10 yesterday, it's 7:10 right now, you and I recording this. Are the Bucks a better team at 7:10 today than they were at 7:10 p.m. yesterday? And the answer is obviously yes. Giannis looks excited or unhappy. Apparently, here we go again. Giannis looks thrilled. Apparently, he was in on trying to recruit Miles Turner to come over here. That's a guy Giannis wanted. So what do? You go get him. And you do whatever it takes. And then apparently the best friend of Damian Lillard, or I don't know what kind of friend, some guy who's on NBA TV at noon. That's the kind of reporter he is because everybody's watching NBA TV at noon. Goes on and says, oh yeah, Giannis wasn't very happy about it, which probably isn't true because it was probably Giannis telling Damian Lillard, because that's his source. Like, yeah, man, I wish that went better because, it didn't work out. That sucks. That makes me a little unhappy on how it didn't work out, or, that sucks on how it went down with you getting waived or whatever. That means he's unhappy. Click on this article right here, please. Thank you. So, but again, the $1 million question at 7-11, as of right now, the Bucks are better than they were at 7-11 yesterday. And I don't think it's close. These contracts are better because you can escape them easier. They're easier to trade. When it comes to Bobby Portis, it comes to Kevin Porter Jr., it comes to Gary Trent Jr., all of that. And even Miles Turner. Miles Turner is a very valuable asset. So if you get an offer on the table for more picks or for, you get a couple players and picks back and then you can rebuild more and maybe go sign a different guy, then you can do it. So this was an absolute masterclass by John Horst because cutting Damian Lillard, I had not on my bingo card. We had a lot of things on our bingo card on what the Bucks need to do to rebuild this team. Cutting Damian Lillard was not on my bingo card. And then when you look at it and what they're doing, and it's funny that they're carrying on Bobby Bonilla Day. If you don't know what that is, I'll tell you right now, you're going to Google it. But the gist of it is a player from the 90s playing for the New York Mets is getting $1.15 million until he's like 60. So, and that day is today where the paycheck comes. Yep, it's all there, guys. Thanks. I appreciate you. On this day, on Bobby Bonilla Day, we're extending payments. Damian Lillard gets cut, but they're lengthening out his contracts. Again, this was an absolute masterclass by John Horst, and the Bucks are better today, right now, than they were 24 hours ago. So maybe there's more. I think they did this. I don't know if they are still under that second apron because trading Chris Middleton, and everybody's talking about Kyle Kuzma. Everybody just needs to relax on the Kyle Kuzma talk. Why? Because this is his last year of his deal. For financial reasons and to get under the apron to make this signing of Miles Turner, somebody needed to be sacrificed, and guess what? It was Chris Middleton. Yes, everybody was emotional, but here's the deal. Kyle Kuzma is going to play 65 games where Chris Middleton might not even play 40. Again, now people are saying that Chris Middleton's a better player than Kyle Kuzma. Sure, I'll give you that. But what's the best, and I said this 1,000 times on this podcast, what's a player's best attribute? Availability. Chris Middleton is not available. And guess what? He costs $33 million to you. Trade for a guy who's a little worse and a little cheaper with the same amount of control that gives you a little bit more money on your books to make some signings like Kevin Porter and Gary Trent Jr. and Bobby Portis. And guess what? It's $22 million, and people are going to complain about it because that's what people do. They love to bitch and moan emotionally because they got rid of a guy who's probably going to get his number retired in the rafters. But guess what? It was the right move. And now you have Miles Turner. And people are going to be emotional about cutting Damian Lillard. But guess what? If you don't cut Damian Lillard, you don't get Miles Turner. It's better to spend $100 million over 5 years on a player that's not going to help you at all instead of spending $54 million on a player that's not going to help you next year, and then another $58 million, because guess what? Damian Lillard had this thing called a player option, which he can decide if he wants to play or not, for $58 million. Guess what he's doing? He's going, yeah, I'll take $58 million. Thank you. Appreciate you. No, whatever denomination you want, small bills, big bills, it doesn't matter. Just make sure it's all there. Okay, he's taking that. And guess what? He still may not even help you. So you wanted to rebuild. You wanted this team to get better. Well, guess what? Sacrifices were made in the sense of Chris Middleton and Damian Lillard. And now the Bucks are better in a better position than they were starting, I even think, last year with Chris Middleton, with Damian Lillard. They were, because guess what? Chris Middleton didn't play till Christmas. Guess what? Chris Middleton isn't here yet either. And guess what? Kyle Kuzma is going to be at least there. You have to give him some kind of credit. I mean, he didn't look half bad. I mean, yeah, in the playoffs it was one thing, but if he can help you in the regular season, get through healthy and contribute some, fine. So this was an absolute masterclass by John Horst, and we should applaud him for it, and I don't think he's done yet. Drew Holiday is back in Portland, and he don't want to be there. Do you want to bring an older Drew Holiday back into the fray? Maybe, if the cards are right. Probably not. Maybe Drew Holiday wants to be bought out. I'm sure I would like Drew Holiday back if the price is right. I mean, that's more defense, and I think you need more defense in this league. And that keeps 3-4 happy. Keeping 34 happy is on the top of the list, along with winning a championship. And I think Drew Holiday is keeping Giannis happy. But he's also a really good defensive player. He's a little older, but as you said, if you're looking at Chris Paul, you could look at Drew Holiday. But signing Chris Paul is a lot easier than signing Drew Holiday. And guess what? Chris Paul needs a ring. And guess what? Division's wide open right now and needs a point guard. Like the East with Tyrese Halliburton, torn Achilles. Jason Tatum, torn Achilles. Boston looking to trade Jaylen Brown. The New York Knicks, new head coach. The Philadelphia 76ers, dumpster fire. Toronto Raptors, LOL. Drake's not there anymore, boys. He's got some charges going around, and Kendrick Lamar put him in a body bag. We haven't seen him in a while. Shit like that. The East is wide open. Chicago's in the West, and Chicago's in the West, aren't they? Or are they in the East? Chicago Bulls making the worst decisions in basketball history still to this day. Like, the East is wide open. With Miles Turner gone, is Indiana going to be less? Yes. Nembhard might be gone, which would make them worse. They're not going to have Tyrese Halliburton. Indiana's not going to be as good either. This is a division that is probably going to belong to New York. But we saw them, it's wide open. And there's still a full season to be played. There's still moves to be made. So, again, I think it all comes down to, again, what is Doc Rivers going to do? How is he going to manage this roster? Because, goddamn it, I have no faith in Doc Rivers. I have zero faith in him. None at all. You just have to plug the right buttons in, and he just seems to always not do that. So that's awesome. So we'll see. But again, I say that the Milwaukee Bucks are not only better than what they were 24 hours ago, I think they're better than what they were 1 year ago. And again, it all comes down to the health of Giannis Antetokounmpo, which, sidebar, if anyone else complains forevermore about a calf injury keeping out Giannis Antetokounmpo and then they sit him for 3 months, look at what happened to Tyrese Halliburton, look what happened to Jason Tatum. They both had lower calf injuries. Same with Kevin Durant all those years ago, and guess what happened? Torn Achilles, torn Achilles, torn Achilles. So anything in the lower calf for Giannis, sit the fuck down until that thing feels better. Because if this team loses Giannis Antetokounmpo, they are cooked.
Yeah, no. To be honest with you, I'll take back what I said with Drew Holiday or Chris Paul. Give me Brogdon. Bring Malcolm Brogdon back to the good old MKE. That would be absolutely fire.
That wouldn't be bad.
That would be a nice little move. And
I wouldn't say no to that.
He'll definitely take a pay cut.
He loves Milwaukee, absolutely.
He will definitely take a pay cut. But we'll be on it, man. It's just good, exciting news just coming from Wisconsin for obviously our good Bucks.
There was a lot going on today, man. I was like, what? I was like a roller coaster. I'm like, are we done? No, we got more. Going in through another loop. It was an exciting day. I was like, I need time to focus and digest all this. I was at work and I was like, can I take time out full? We're gonna take time out. No? Oh, okay, got you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
let's move on. Let's move on over to our Milwaukee Brewers, a big series against the Mets here. They were supposed to play today, but there's a doubleheader tomorrow. They go ahead and start at noon, basically. Then they go ahead and play right after that, and then they go ahead and play on Thursday. Big month here for the Brew Crew. Got to go ahead and go 2-1, or got to be on the positive side of this Mets series. You go to the Marlins, you should definitely take care of them. Then you go ahead and you got the Dodgers coming into town. That one's going to be a tough one, but you got at least
Oh
got to split that or get a win or
boy.
something. But it's just this month is huge. Talk to me about the Brew Crew, man. We're trending in the right direction. Obviously, right now we're still in second place, 47-37. We're 8-2 in the last 10 games, which is really good. Pitching's looking very well. Bats are hot. This is always a time that we go ahead and turn it on for some odd reason. Just throughout our whole years of just us watching the Crew, this is just what happens.
June's always been a good month for the Crew. Going back to 15 years ago, if you didn't have a good May, guess what? June was coming. And we were like, holy shit. All right, June's here, everybody. The Brewers can't stop winning.
No,
They
absolutely.
continue that trend today, or this past month.
Yeah, talk to me about it, though.
You just came off a series where you just absolutely bent the Minnesota Twins over and took that belt and cracked them as many times until the belt broke. And then you had the Pittsburgh Pirates, who you
Absolutely crazy.
should win against. The Pittsburgh Pirates aren't that good. The only game you were worried about was this game again. So again, you lost to the Pirates game one. You shot yourselves in the foot. You came back. You beat the pants off of them. And then you had the most hyped up game for a regular season I think I've ever seen for the Milwaukee Brewers. Think of a regular season game on a Wednesday in the middle of June where you were like, we got to tune in.
Yeah.
Like not we, everybody's tuning in. National media or national sports media, Milwaukee or the MLB.TV or MLB Network, all they're talking about is this matchup. It's all over Twitter, ball Twitter. You got Skeens, Cy Young winner against Mizorowski, who is the up-and-coming pitcher. And again, I said if this game lasts more than an hour and a half, I'd be shocked. Well, guess what? It did. Because the Brewers, I don't think I've seen a more executed game plan in the sense of if you get on base, we got to do things to move runners. We got to have productive outs. And not only that, they were hitting Skeens a little bit around the yard.
Yeah.
They put up a 4 spot in the second inning, which is the most Skeens has ever given up in his career in one inning. And that was just a small ball performance of we got to with runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs, we have to put the ball in play and we have to score runs. Runs are a premium. Why? Because we got the Miz on our side and no one can hit them. Give me a run, give me a 1-run lead or any run lead, and we'll get over the promised land. And that's what they did. I mean, it was beautiful. And Mizorowski, that boy is special. I've never seen a man. Well, I have. Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez and those guys were. But this is a kid who is on his third MLB start, and he's facing the best in the business, and he outdueled him, and he made hitters look fucking stupid. So you win that game, you go 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. Okay, that's fine. And then Colorado comes in, and Colorado doesn't know what winning is very, very much. You had a struggle the first night where it was like, okay, we're up 4-0, and then all of a sudden Colorado came back. And all right, we should probably put more runs on the board. You did put more runs on the board, but then Colorado put more runs. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay, thank God that game ended, because I don't think they were going away. And then the next day, Quinn Priester put on a fucking clinic. Went 7 innings, 11 Ks, made Colorado look stupid, and you get a shutout. And then the next day, don't play very well. You go to extras and lose. Does it suck? Yes, but you can't win them all. Fine. They win 18 games for a reason. Guess what? They got to win 19. They're probably on track not to lose as many as the White Sox did last year. Congratulations. And then you got the New York Mets, who are always talented, but you have Peralta tomorrow, Mizorowski the next day, and Quintana the day after that. That's 2 of your 4 best pitchers in the rotation, because Priester right now is dealing. So you got your top 4 pitchers going at it, which your best one, your second best one, and a guy who's just been very, very solid as of late in Kitana. He's 6-2 on the year, and he's barely throwing over 89 miles an hour. So you hope to win 2 out of 3 of that one. The doubleheader will be tricky. You don't play many doubleheaders as major leaguers, but they're professionals. You're gonna play a 2.5-hour game, and then you got to sit down, do what you got to do, and then you got to get up and play again. So I think and by the way, New York hasn't really won a lot. If you look back at their month of June, I think they've maybe won 7 games in June. I will Google how many games did the Mets win in June. They were 12-14 in the month of June. So you're going into the Big Apple right now where fans are pissed, and you have a chance to make them more pissed and let the players hear it, because those players can hear it. Like, if shit's going wrong, you hear the boo birds. You hear all the, telling that you suck and your wife sucks too. Shit like that. And so you have a chance to go put a drowning team and grab a garden hose and throw it down their throat and turn it on and make them drown even more. So, and then you could go to Miami where Priester, your hottest pitcher other than Mizorowski right now, can get a win. But you go up against Alcantara, and Alcantara can deal. Like that man can deal. So that's going to be a fun matchup. And then Lucas Patrick, I think that's his name. Not so good. I expect him to be in the minors at some point here once you get healthy in the starting pitcher. And then they don't have a starter. I think you're going to go bullpen day on Sunday, because when you get the Dodgers in town, the Brewers are going to make sure that they have Peralta, Mizorowski, Kitana again. And so you hope that Mizorowski can win you 1 game and Peralta or Kitana pitches a gem, and maybe you win 2, because you face Kershaw night 1 and Dustin May night 2. You may, and I mean you might, they don't have a starter listed for that 3rd game. You may see Shohei, because Shohei is making like 3-inning starts, 2-inning starts to get him back. You may see Shohei for a couple innings. So, but if you get 1 out of 3 in Los Angeles, I think that's good. You get 2 out of 3, you're great. If you sweep the Dodgers, I think that's fucking fantastic. So, and then you go to Washington, who is a very solid ball club. I don't know how you're going to finish that one out, but hopefully you can take 2 out of 3. You're home again. You finish the game with a six-game homestand, and then you have the All-Star break where you get even more time at home. So you really want to take advantage and make sure go into the All-Star break plus on this next 12 games. So I think if you can go 8-4, I think that's great. So I think 8-4, you might steal the division or get within a game and a half to a half a game of that division. Which actually, I think if you go 8-4, you probably are going to lead the division, because they're 2 games back right now. Where again, Chicago is like, man, we're winning all these fucking games, and Milwaukee's just not losing. Like, what the fuck do we need to do? So again, the pressure is mounting on Chicago a little bit more, and I think the Brewers are just. Hopefully the Brewers can go like 8-4, 7-5. If you can win 10, get the fuck out of here. But I think it's probably going to be that. I think the goal should be 8 games on these next 12. I think if you win 8 games, I would like to believe you're either tied or you're in the lead for the NL Central.
No, I'm with you on that, man. We're going to keep up with the crew, obviously, but this is a big, big month. Great June. Let's go ahead and get this July going as well, man. We'll definitely be on top of that. Let's move on over to the Jim Bob Cooter Talks. Before we go and get into it, though, obviously, Rock Classic went ahead and got taken care of. Ottinger went ahead and won that in playoffs. I think he did like 3 or 4 times. That is a young kid out of the, I think he's like Sweden or something. I don't even know.
No idea. And the words of Homer,
but he was
words of Homer Simpson. I have no idea who that is.
And on top of that, he was hitting the ball like a mile, like crazy.
Yep.
Like 336. Anyways, congratulations, my good brother. Keep doing your thing. It's always good seeing.
Except for the Ryder Cup, if you get chosen.
True. And then obviously the John Deere Classic. We'll go ahead and keep on. There's just a lot of things that are, just here.
Yeah.
To watch, not to really go over, but Jimmer has some things that he wants to go ahead and take over here with the Jim Bob Cooter Talk. I have no idea what it is, so I am as ears open as anyone listening to this. So what are we talking about?
Blind ranking, my man. Get your thinking cap on. We got blind rankings. We're going sandwiches today, bro. Get your thinking cap on. All right.
And these are incredible when he does these too, by the way. So let's do it.
So First sandwich. Blind ranking. You get 5 of them.
Gotta stretch out for this.
And this one's going to pull you right in your heartstrings. BLT. We're starting off hot and heavy right away.
And
BLT. Bacon.
Is it 5? Like, is it through 5 or is it just rank wherever?
One is the top, 5 is the bottom.
I will go ahead and put a
BLT.
I'll put a BLT at 3.
Really? I thought that was going to score higher. All right. Next sandwich. A Reuben.
I'll put a Reuben at 2.
Okay. Next one, grilled cheese.
That'll go at 4.
Okay. And number 5, a Cuban.
I'll put a Cuban at 5.
And you're leaving number 1 open with number 1.
Come on, don't be nothing crazy. There'll be something good.
Philly cheesesteak.
Let's go.
I honestly thought, I was like, oh, with this order, it's going to be so good.
You thought I was going to put BLT first?
I thought you were throwing BLT 1. And then once Philly cheesesteak came, I'm like, he's going to be so pissed because I think he would rank the Philly over the BLT. So I was shocked. And then when you put the Reuben above, I mean, I was like, oh, maybe he's going to think of some other exotic shit, but then I was like, well, with grilled cheese and Cuban, I would have probably put grilled cheese. I think my ranking would have probably been Reuben 1, BLT 2, Philly 3. Actually, Philly 3, grilled cheese 4. The Cuban, not that we're disrespecting the Cuban, it's just that if you do a Cuban right, it's fucking fantastic. If you do a Reuben wrong, it is really not good. It is not a pleasant experience. I think that was a good list. I saw all 5 of those. I'm like, I think these are pretty tough. But I just think there's nothing better. And I had it over the winter where, I hadn't had it in a while. I was like, you know what? I feel lazy today. Where I had a smacking grilled cheese with tomato soup. But I was like, why have I abandoned this combo? Like, why?
Combo's lethal.
Do it. So it's a great, fall, rainy day or winter snack. So I saw that sandwiches. I'm like, I know what kind of sandwich guy you are. So I'm gonna see what you can do. So, but I think that was a good list. I think that was a fun one. So that's what I got for Jim Bob Cooter's picks. Or this week blind rankings.
Keep that blind ranking. Do like a rap or something next time. That's always sweet when you do that.
That's not a sandwich. That's a rap.
Oh, whatever.
No, we're not getting into that.
Well, all right, people. You guys have a good one, man. We will see you next weekend. Peace out. We'll see you.
Happy 4th of July. Everybody come back with all their fingers for fireworks. Don't throw fireworks.
You heard them. Peace out, everybody.